and this is the World News at 12. My name is Esther Wachuku.
And I am Kayla Abraham.
These are the top stories. Nigerian authorities filed 9 charges against Whistleblower after 28-day detention. Britain wanted by Nigerian police denounces being a fugitive. Ipman cries out over petrol scarcity. Dangote refinery rolls out petrol.
Lawyer activist Deji Adeyanju knocks Tinubu's government over hostility towards peaceful protest. PDP governors Wike set for showdown as NWC meets.
Details now. The news begins with the Niger Police Force formally charging Isaac Bristol, known as Pidum, with 9-count charges in the Federal High Court in Abuja, following a 28-day detention without charges. Now, Bristol was reportedly arrested on August 5, 2024 by the National Cybercrime Center for suspected involvement in cybercrimes. The police have confirmed that a thorough investigation is ongoing into several accusations made against him. Pidum, who identifies as a whistleblower, has been embroiled in a controversy related to government transparency and freedom of speech. You'll recall that his prolonged detention drew significant criticism from human rights organizations, including Amnesty International, which called for his immediate release or formal prosecution. Court filings, as mentioned by Sahara reporters, reveal that Pidum is charged with unauthorized dissemination of classified government materials and the spread of false information. The charges specifically allege that Pidum shared documents claiming that President Bola Tinubu had released 24.1 billion naira to the NACON chairman through Vice President Kashim Shettima's office, a figure which was later allegedly increased to 90 billion naira. The charges were filed by Simon Lowe, a senior advocate of Nigeria, leading a team of police attorneys representing the Inspector General of Police. Meanwhile, British citizen Andrew Rufai, who has been declared wanted by the Niger Police Force for allegedly conspiring to overthrow the democratically elected government of President Bola Tinubu, has responded to the accusations against him. Now, you will recall that earlier on Monday, just yesterday, Force spokesperson Muyiwa Adejobi briefed journalists in Abuja, accusing the British national of creating a network of sleeper cells intended to destabilize the country and overthrow the government. He further explained that 9 suspects have been arrested following extensive intelligence gathering and collaboration with other security agencies. These suspects are accused of receiving significant financial backing from foreign sources to foment unrest in Nigeria. Now, in an exclusive interview via a Monitor television program on Monday, Wine denied any involvement in the alleged plot and stated that he is not evading the authorities. He expressed his willingness to cooperate with Nigerian officials. Also, in a separate interview, Wine's Nigerian wife strongly refuted the allegations against her husband, insisting that he is being falsely accused. She claimed that the real reason behind her husband's current predicament has nothing to do with any attempt to overthrow the government, but rather a personal vendetta by a Nigerian individual who owes her husband money and is trying to avoid repaying the debt. She said, and quote, "We have been together for 9 years, with 8 years of friendship before we finally married last year. My husband is being falsely accused. He has never been involved in any terrorist activity. The real issue is that a man named Mr. Olumide owes my husband and doesn't want to pay him. The matter is currently in court. This individual is doing everything possible to intimidate and deport my husband to avoid paying his debt. My husband is in the United Kingdom because his visa was about to expire and he needed to return. Were it not for these issues, he would have returned around the end of September." End quote. In another development, the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association, IPMAN, has lamented the current petrol scarcity experienced across the country. The Publicity Secretary of IPMAN, Ukadike Chinedu, said the private marketers, like citizens, are suffering as a result of the current petrol scarcity. Ukadike said IPMAN was worried that despite the good conditions of the Port Harcourt and Warri refineries, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited is yet to start refining crude oil to address the reoccurring fuel scarcity. In an interview on Monday via a Monitor television program, IPMAN's publicity secretary said marketers demand that President Bola Tinubu implements its president's advice on the refineries. Ukadike said only if the refineries start working would petrol scarcity be addressed in the country. He also stated that IPMAN was aware that the federal government supplied 1 million barrels of crude oil to the Port Harcourt and Warri refineries to ensure production starts. He explained that the current scarcity of petrol supply to marketers is costing the marketers up to 50 million naira to buy petrol. Now, still on premium motor spirits, in a landmark achievement for Nigeria's energy sector, the Dangote refinery, a $20 billion project led by billionaire industrialist Aliko Dangote, has officially started producing petrol. This development is expected to significantly ease the ongoing petrol scarcity that has plagued the country, providing much needed relief to millions of Nigerians. During a press briefing on Wednesday last week, Dangote expressed his gratitude to the government of President Bola Tinubu for creating an environment that allowed the refinery project to come to fruition. He highlighted the potential impact of the refinery on the nation's economy and energy security.
Activist and human rights lawyer Deji Adeyanju has accused President Bola Tinubu's government of paving way for anarchy. Adeyanju stated that the federal government was attempting to criminalize peaceful protest. He made the allegation during an interview monitored via a television program. The activist questioned the rationale behind the government's hostility towards demonstrations aimed at ending bad governance. He said, and quote, "How does a protest against bad governance become a threat to topple the government?" He emphasized that Tinubu giving his past as a beneficiary of the June 12 struggles for democracy shouldn't lead a government that will be hostile to protest. Explaining further, Deji stated that the president is one of the chief beneficiaries of the June 12 struggles, yet we now see policemen behaving like politicians, actions that made military rule possible in the first place in this country. End quotes. A showdown is looming between the People's Democratic Party (PDP) Governors Forum and the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory Nyesom Wike as the party's National Working Committee meets on Wednesday. The meeting is expected to address the lingering political conflict between Wike and Governor Simlai Fubara of Rivers State, both of whom are PDP members. The feud has caused a split within the State House of Assembly and led to multiple legal disputes in Port Harcourt and Abuja courts. Amidst the political feud, the governors under the platform of the PDP have expressed support for their colleague Fubara, urging the NWC to grant him his rightful position as the leader of the party in the state. In response, Wike has threatened the ferment trouble in PDP-controlled states whose governors are sympathetic to Fubara. The Director General of the PDP Governors Forum, Emmanuel Agbo, confirmed that a meeting to address Wike's threat was imminent.
It's now time for our news analysis segment, and we have Mr. Peter Anosike here in the studio. He is a political, national and social affairs commentator. He's also an author of one of the best-selling books in Africa. Mr. Peter Anosike, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on the World News at 12.
Thank you for having me.
All right, Mr. Anosike, well, let's begin with this current development with NNPC recently stating that they are owing suppliers $6 billion, which is affecting their ability to secure fuel supplies. Well, now this has come after they reported a 3 trillion naira profit in 2023 and claimed they were not paying subsidies for about 8 to 10 years. Well, you do also recall that the NNPC gave us various reasons concerning the fuel scarcity bedeviling the nation right now, like logistics, even thunderstorms was one of the reasons. Now, this situation is marked by confusion and secrecy, causing hardship for Nigerians who are currently struggling to access a resource that is naturally produced and the country possesses. Well, now, Mr. Anosike, I want to know why no transparency? What is the cause for this secrecy? What is going on with the NNPC being transparent and giving us the actual situation with the petrol and with the subsidy?
Well, some of us forewarned Nigerians over what is happening now. 2022, 2023, I remember saying it over and over, vote wrongly and prepare to suffer. And that's what is happening at this point in time. Some of them voted wrongly. Some of them, their votes did not voted, but it didn't count. So that's what is happening at this point in time. Not being transparent is characteristics of the foundation of APC. APC was not formed for the governance of the country. It was just formed to capture, empower, and share money. So it was not formed for the interests of this country, and this is what is happening at this point in time. So I'm not disappointed. This is what I knew would happen, and it is happening.
All right, Mr. Anosike, I want to know, why has the government not summoned Mele Kyari for questioning? I mean, especially since he claimed that he isn't involved in any corruption within the NNPC. And why has the National Assembly called on him to present detailed statistics for Nigerians? I mean, you do see the fuel queues currently across the country. These fuel queues are outrageous. Don't Nigerians deserve an explanation?
Well, he told the Senate that he will explain at the appropriate time. So nobody knows when the appropriate time would be. So they have not summoned him, they have not disciplined him because he is in the good book of the presidency. He is doing what the presidents want rather than what Nigerians want. That's exactly what is happening. Because no good leader would retain somebody who is behaving the way the GMD of NNPC is behaving.
Mr. Peter Anosike, who is the Minister of Petroleum Resources in the country?
Bonda Ahmed Tinubu.
Mele Kyari is the General Managing Director of the NNPCL.
He is an employee of the president.
Now, he actually supervises all the activities within the NNPCL, which includes exportation, distribution, supply, all of that. Now, the question is this: is the NNPCL a limited entity or is it a public enterprise?
That NNPCL is a deception.
Okay.
It is a deception. He is still under the beck and call of the president.
What I'm trying to ask is the NNPCL a private entity or is it a public enterprise?
It is a public enterprise.
So why is L there?
That's why I say it is a deception. It is
because
a deception.
if L is there, it could actually explain what is going on, where they feel that they cannot give us any report as to the activities happening within the NNPCL. Certain persons who supposedly are in charge, who own the oil well, they're the ones who make decisions, they do what they like, and they don't attribute any response to anybody. So one would understand. But if the NNPCL is a public enterprise, why the deception?
The deception is because what they are doing, their activities is favoring some people in the presidency. That is the only reason. Even if it's a limited liability company, the U.S. Senate has summoned Microsoft. They have summoned Facebook because these are businesses within a country and they have the right to ask questions because it affects the lives of the people.
Mr. Anosike, the reason why I'm asking you this intricate question is, let it not be that we're trying to evoke any kind of sentiment on this platform. If this entity is a public enterprise, don't we deserve to be told accurately the kind of transactions that takes place there? For example, the NNPCL or the federal government or President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on May 29 told us that fuel subsidy is gone. So where is the subsidy money that was removed? What was it used for?
The president has not been transparent in all the issues happening in the country because he started paying subsidy 3 months after making that statement.
They denied that they are paying subsidy. Up till now, the presidency stands firm on the fact that they're not paying subsidy.
But I'm telling you that they are paying subsidy.
Kayla, can you reel out all the reasons that the NNPCL had given us as to why we're experiencing fuel scarcity in the country?
They mentioned logistics. They also mentioned thunderstorms being the reasons behind fuel scarcity across the country.
Now, beyond that, NNPCL has disclosed that they're having supply issues because they're actually owing their external suppliers $60 billion. Mr. Peter Anosike, are we to bear $6 billion? Yes. Are we to bear the consequences of the inadequacy of those who make decisions in government or those who are in charge of this enterprise? Nigerians are the ones to pay the consequences. Remember that we pay tax. We pay tax to those in government so that they can make policies that will benefit us. So when we pay this tax, why do they think they're not supposed to be accountable to Nigerians?
I say the GMD of NNPCL feel that he's untouchable, that he's above Nigerians. How he is behaving now is how Godwin Emefiele behaved. And there's a saying that when somebody has overconfidence, he will be hit with a sucker punch. So that's the GMD of NNPC is behaving this way because he is in the good book
Why is the National Assembly quiet with what is actually going on? I would have expected an immediate summoning of the NNPC, of the General Manager, Managing Director of the NNPC, or the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, or even the Minister of Petroleum Resources to respond to questions as to what is going on in the country. This is affecting productivity. So why haven't they been invited by the National Assembly?
And the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources is suggesting that we raise the fuel pump price, arguing that smugglers are exploiting the lower prices by fuel taken out of Nigeria. So this is what he's focusing on instead of summoning the GMD of NNPC.
Who is supposed to summon?
You said Minister of Petroleum.
No,
National Assembly.
It's National Assembly. It's
Yes.
National Assembly that. But mind you, there's a committee that's investigating the activities happening there, which has been hijacked, which has been rigged, because they put Bamidele, one of Tinubu. So we don't expect anything good coming out of it. They cannot indict or the presidency or the president.
According to Heineken Dokpobere, he's saying that, what was the explanation you gave?
Well, he's saying we should raise the fuel pump price.
Who is the we? Who is the we? Who should raise?
He's saying NNPC
Okay.
should raise the fuel pump price, arguing that smugglers exploiting the lower price.
Now, Mr.
and selling
Anosike, are you
fuel
seeing
outside
the inconsistency I'm talking about? There are major issues which the NNPC have given credence to. They're telling us now that they're having supply issues. Heineken Dokpobere is suggesting that the NNPCL increase pump price. Mr. Anosike, right now, petrol has been increased to more than 1,000 naira per litre. It may not be official, but that's what it is. So what exactly is Heineken saying?
He is saying that because fuel are being so cheaper in the country, that that's why people are taking it outside the shores of the country that to sell at a higher price.
So
Therefore, they should increase the price of fuel in Nigeria so that it won't be taken abroad anymore.
So who will feel the brunt of that increment? Even if at all they want to curb those who are actually selling it out at a higher price, who will feel the brunt of that?
The masses.
Okay.
So that shows you the insensitivity of the people in government. That shows you that they don't care what Nigerians are going through. This is just a people that had a 10-day protest over hunger and hardship. And the minister in the country is saying increase the fuel pump price. This shows you that they don't care what the masses are feeling. If it's in UK, that Minister of State for Petroleum must be forced to resign today. He must be forced to resign today for making that kind of statement, because that's exactly what it is.
Ms. Anosike, I would say it will take more than an hour for us to actually go all through what is going on within the NNPCL and the current fuel scarcity situation. We read other issues on the World News at 12. Now, the Nigerian Police Force has charged Isaac Bristol, known as PIDM, with 9-count charges in the Federal High Court in Abuja following a 28-day detention without charges. Now, ideally, what's the process supposed to be like? When you apprehend somebody, that means you already have charges down to sue them to court. They kept this man after 28 days and now they're charging him. Is it because it was exposed that David Hunde was one who exposed it on social media, that is on X, that this is the reason why this man is being detained? And if you look at the charges that they're reading out to him, it almost sounds like most of the stuff that PDOM Nigeria put out there were being validated. They're talking about the fact that PDOM Nigeria released an information on social media concerning the fact that the president released a sum of 24 billion naira to Nakon chairman. Now, according to them, they're also alleging that Bristol acted with the intention of causing a breakdown of law and order. They also mentioned the fact that beyond all of that happened, hashtag 99% oppressed, which is his ex-handle account, said that the purpose of that account was to mobilize and solicit support from Nigerians to unduly compel the federal government to perform or abstain from performing certain acts through a movement promoted with the hashtag End Bad Governance protest in Nigeria. What's your take on this?
Well, for me, the Nigeria police is trying to intimidate those they feel that are not comfortable with them. They want to stop people from talking. But we have that freedom of speech.
Okay.
We have that freedom of association. And going on protest is one of our civic responsibilities.
All right.
So those charges, Nigeria government Nigeria police know how to frame charges, but at the end of the day, they will not stand in the court of law.
Do you think Peter will be given bail? Because right now, based on what is speculating, the fact that this is a means through which the administration could suppress any other motive to go on any other further protest. This is a way to disabuse the minds of a lot of youth who may be thinking of wanting to continue with the protest on October 1st, as Omoyele Sowore had disclosed earlier.
Well, they will try, but they had they try, they had they fall. With what is happening in the country, that October 1st fairness protest will hold.
Do you think a lot of people will comply? Don't you think they'll be afraid with what is currently going on?
They are making things worse. They are making things worse with what is going on in the country at this point in time. There's no way you can stop a hungry man.
All right. Okay, so let's look at security issues. Now, more information has come up as to why there was a rejigging within the Nigerian Intelligence Agency and the Department of State Security Services. Now, one of the factors is the fact that the insiders basically within the cabinet of the president said that a directive of the office of the NSA regarding a prisoner swap deal to secure the release of the emir was a straw that broke the camel's back. Now, based on what was said, apparently the abducted emir of Gobiru had demanded the release of their parents who were arrested by the SSS at the airport while returning from Saudi Arabia after Hajj pilgrimage. To secure the release of the monarch, all right, Daily Nigerian, which is of course the where this report was came from, gathered that the office of the NSA ordered the SSS to hand over the detained parents of some bandit leaders to perfect the swap deal. Also, apparently, the key demand was to release these parents of these bandits, and they were willing to release the emir without ransom as soon as government released their parents. But the NSA was opposed to payment of ransom by government, and the reason that since the parents of the bandits were not the criminals, they should be swapped with the emir. Apparently, the SSS became unyielding to the NSA's request, which led to the killing of the emir. So that was basically one of the strong reasons why the rejigging occurred. But regardless, this, aside from the situation with the emir of Gobiru, other instances too has taken place. Even the medical students who were abducted by the kidnappers, we got information later that they paid money to secure the ransom, beyond the security operatives coming to tell us that they actually did what you call a secret intelligence deal in locating the location of those kidnappers, although they disclosed some persons we saw their pictures on social media, but we didn't get to hear any testament from any one of them, anyone at all who could have been alive, or at least for further questioning. We didn't see any parade. We only saw pictures.
Well, for me, swap deal happens everywhere in the world.
Okay.
But government is not supposed to pay ransom because ransom is a sign of encouragement.
All right.
Today, there's a discussion between Hamas and Israel for a swap.
Okay.
Release the hostages, who release some Hamas or some Palestinian prisoners in Israel. So it happens. But what I'm against is the issue of paying of ransom.
Right. Because
they use this in buying of arms.
Okay.
Understand me? And it also encourages others to see this as a business. It encourages others to see this as a business. But the truth is that our intelligence is performing below bar.
Apparently, the president was highly embarrassed and worried by the killing of the monarch, and that was what made him order the NSA to shop for replacement of the DSS and NIA chiefs. And I think this was basically one of the reasons why the National Security Advisor, Boss Nuhu Ribadu, said that DSS Bichi was undermining his authority. Basically, based on the agreement they had, if DSS Bichi had yielded to the agreement they had, the emir of Gobiru wouldn't have been killed by this kidnappers.
And Bichi would have continued in office.
Bichi would have continued in office.
With all the allegations against him.
Well, will he be able to respond to any of the allegations against him?
Well, I don't know, but this is what he's supposed to do because there are so many files on him. There are so many documents on him. There are so many petitions on him. The way he was going out of the book to arrest, detain, understand me?
Okay.
And physically assault innocent people who are deemed innocent until proven.
That's a situation with Doyin Okukwe recently revealing to us that aside from the 1993 elections, all elections in Nigeria are actually rigged. And this was in response to a couple of questions that was posed at him concerning why he and Peter Obi left the People's Democratic Party and what even led to their eventual fallout in the country. The question is that true with what Dwayne Okupe actually stated? He said, apart from the 1993 elections, all elections in Nigeria are rigged. Is he surmising and telling us in reality that the current 2023 elections were also rigged?
Well, we should be talking about the magnitude because 1992 election was also rigged.
Oh, it was also rigged.
It was also rigged because then people were rubbing a gum that's on their finger. So when they vote, they will remove that gum and vote again. So we are talking of the magnitude of the rigging. So it is getting worse and worse. The 2023 is the worst in Nigerian history.
Okay. Well, Dwayne Okupe argued that life must continue after elections. This was because he got a backlash from the supporters of Peter Obi when he actually reeled out support for the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, despite being one of the Labour campaign persons for Peter Obi during the 2023 presidential elections. So he stated, according to him, let me read it out. To me, the allegations of rigging do not hold water. All elections in Nigeria from the First Republic to date have been rigged in one way or another, except perhaps Abiola's election. In America today, the majority of Republicans believe the election that brought Biden in as POTUS was rigged. So the question now is that a way to validate whatever excuse that made you feel that, okay, you've left the PDP, you have actually had a fallout with the 2023 presidential candidate, and does that validate you stating this for showing support to this administration? Couldn't there be any other reason beyond the fact that all elections, generalizing that all elections in Nigeria actually rigged?
Dwayne Okupe is somebody who we call AGIP, meaning any government in power.
Okay.
Any government in power, because they don't have any job of their own.
Okay.
So and they can use anything to justify even the unjustifiable. So what he is saying in reality does not lend any support to him. The truth is that he is looking for what to eat. And the Tinubu is now in power. Even if Atiku is in power, he will have done that same thing. He has no ideology, no morality, and no integrity.
All right. Finally, before I let you go, what do you think about the talks of measure between Atiku Abubakar, Kwankwaso of the New Nigerian People's Party, and Peter Obi? The question is, there are talks. We haven't heard any confirmation from Peter Obi yet as to the fact that this is one of the things they're considering. If there is a merger, who will be the presidential flag bearer? Who will be the vice? And would Atiku Abubakar decide to step down and say, okay, you know what, Peter Obi, you had major support. Maybe you would be the flag bearer. Atiku, you be the deputy. The last time we heard of talks, what's his name? Kwankwaso said he wanted to be the flag bearer of whatever measure is going to take place. But in reality, don't you think that there needs to be a strong opposition that will counter whatever chance the APC has in 2027?
For me, the parties in opposition should first of all come together.
Okay.
They should first of all unite, because people united can never be defeated.
Okay.
So the first thing shouldn't be who should be the presidential candidate or the vice presidential candidate. The first should be they should come together and form a strong force against the APC, not just to win election, but to put the ruling party on their toes.
Do you think that there are any plans whatsoever to destabilize this current administration? All the stories we've been reading on the media concerning the arrest of these End Bad Governance protesters and hunger protesters, even the Briton that was also being called a fugitive, where a bounty was placed on his head. There have been so many talks about a dethronement of this administration. Do you think that is what it is?
To the best of my knowledge, those in presidency, those in the military, those in intelligence are just trying to earn their salaries. Understand me? Nobody would want to do any of such.
All right.
Nobody will want to do any of such.
All right, Mr. Peter Onusike, thank you so much for taking your time to share your perspectives and some of the stories that were read out on the World News at 12. We sincerely do appreciate your input.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
And now to wrap up here again are the top stories. Nigerian authorities filed 9 charges against Whistleblower after 28-day detention. Britain wanted by Nigerian police denounces being a fugitive. Ipman cries out over petrol scarcity. Dangote refinery rolls out petrol.
Lawyer activist Deji Adeyanju knocks Tinubu's government over hostility towards peaceful protest. PDP governors Wike set for showdown as NWC meets.
And that's a wrap on the World News at 12. My name is Esther Machuku.
And I am Kayla Abraham.
Thank you so much for staying with us. Up next is Area Matter with Alaji.